The president sending a message today to federal workers who won't receive their paychecks. Responding to a shouted question from a reporter, he basically said there are some other people interested in this debate who are suffering actually a lot more pain.
You know who has more human pain? The parents of people who had children killed by an illegal immigrant that should have never been in the country. You know who has more human pain? The husband that lost the wife, or the wife that lost the husband to an illegal immigrant that came in 5 or 6 times that shouldn't be here. That's the human pain.
Let's bring in the co-founder of a group called Fight Sanctuary States, Don Rosenberg. His son was killed in a hit and run by an illegal immigrant. Don, good evening. We've spoken before, and we don't want to minimize that government workers may be suffering financially, but as you know better than I do, losing a paycheck is nothing compared to what you lost, sir.
Yeah, hi, Ed. Thanks for having me on. Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to be callous about, the dilemma that they have not getting paid, but in a couple of weeks they'll have their money. I'll never have my child, and neither will anybody else who's lost anybody. So you can't even put the two in the same, you can't compare the two at all.
We go back and forth in these political debates on that very point. You just heard Peter Doocy lay out, Barack Obama was for a barrier, then all of a sudden maybe not so much. Same with all these Democratic senators now that Donald Trump has been elected. There's these political games going on. But you as a father who lost a son, it's not just watching a debate. It has to get you in the gut. What goes through your mind when you watch those sound bites from years ago where they swore they were for a barrier?
Well, I'll tell you, yesterday was my son's 34th birthday, or should I say would have been. Mm-hmm. And, I spent a good part of the day, we would watch the president speak the night before, and then I was watching a lot. And I usually handle this, I think, pretty well. I was a wreck yesterday because listening to these people and watching, I'll tell you, I was watching a lot of MSNBC because I wanted to see how they handled it. And you've got people laughing and mocking that when he was talking about how, people have been murdered and had their heads cut off. And maybe that went a little bit too far. But I'm watching some of the panelists and they're laughing and mocking me. And not just me, but of course everybody who's lost somebody. So it's just outrageous. It's mind-numbing.
It is.
Who knows?
It's outrageous. It's a gut punch, I'm sure, to you. And the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, said something to the effect, well, these are anecdotes, essentially like data points, these deaths of your son and others. And there's something else that Democrats have been saying. They've been saying that this is not a real crisis. I quickly want to play what they're saying about whether it's a crisis or not and get your reaction.
He manufactures crises like immigrants seeking legal refuge on our borders.
This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration.
No crisis exists, and anyone making the argument is most likely guilty of fear-mongering and willfully misleading the American people.
The president's manufactured crisis reaches into the lives of millions of Americans. It threatens services and benefits they need to stay healthy and secure. It robs hardworking Americans of their paychecks.
Don, they're saying this is not a real crisis.
This has been a crisis since President Reagan signed Mazzoli-Simpson Act, or Simpson-Mazzoli Act. It's just nobody has cared to do anything about it. Since that time, you've probably had over 50,000 deaths, a couple 100,000 rapes, literally millions of crimes, about $2 trillion taken out of, Americans' pockets, and they're saying it's not a crisis. Yet when those 2 children died, which was a horrible thing, that was a crisis. So, it's really shameful. I don't know what else. I don't know how to describe what it is. I would just like to be able to talk to some of those people in person, but of course they don't have the guts to talk to me. They refuse every time.
Don,
and
Don, you've made your point loud and clear, and we grieve with you, especially as you mentioned, it would have been your son's 34th birthday yesterday. We're very sorry for your loss, but we appreciate you coming in to make sure that his legacy, his memory lives on, sir.
Thank you very much, Ed.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Don. Thank you.
All right, as we continue with our angel parents, all having lost loved ones, their children, to illegal immigrants, we only have 5 minutes left. I just want to maybe run through some, it's obviously a big national political debate. What's your reaction to this as a manufactured crisis? What words do you want to say to the president, Nancy, Chuck? What do you say?
I would like to invite Nancy and Chuck Schumer to my son's grave on January 28th so they can celebrate, or not celebrate, cry with me at his grave, at his manufactured grave. This is permanent family separation. What separates
permanent family separation.
Permanent family separation, like my shirt says. And what separates me and my son is not a fence. It's 6 feet of dirt and a coffin.
How many of you have met the president? So, all of you have. And I remember we did a show during the campaign. I got emotional on that show, and I'm sure you will at some point too. And you're watching the president fight, and you're hearing the manufactured crisis. What do you want to say to them, Steve?
You know, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are just hypocrites. And I'm being just flat out honest. It's hypocrite. You yourself have shown video clips of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer telling people, we need this wall. We need to stop the endless...
So that's when Obama was president.
Absolutely. So what changed? What? Just because votes? What? Global economy? They're hypocrites. It's disgusting.
What do you say?
Nancy Pelosi's a dingbat. I mean, one week she wants the wall. The next week she doesn't want the wall. She doesn't want to give any money toward it. I think it's what, 1/10 of 1% of money for the budget. That's all it is.
1/10 of 1%
of the budget.
Of the budget. Tiny.
And she won't give it. It's absurd. I think that blood is on her hands. She absolutely took an oath to protect American citizens. She's not doing it. She doesn't even want to try just because she hates Trump. I don't know what's wrong with her. I mean,
are you happy the president's holding the line?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy. And, you know, I've said this before, but I would love the opportunity to stand in front of Nancy Pelosi, mother to mother, and look her in the eye and say, which child of yours or your grandchild of yours would you give up to support this agenda that you're this horrendous lie, the desecration of our children and our loved ones' lives. It's like it's a slap in our face and a kick to our loved one's grave every time she does this. And I want the public to know, and I want Nancy Pelosi to know, I called her office again today and requested another meeting next week when I'm in D.C.
Yeah, I guess hell will freeze over.
And it was dead silence from her staffer. I said, this is Angel Mom Marianne Mendoza. I'd like to request a meeting face-to-face, mother-to-mother with Nancy Pelosi about this situation. Dead silence, and the staffer said, no, I'll put you through. You can leave a voicemail. So this is how Nancy Pelosi is.
I did ask her that very question.
Yes.
On the town hall. I asked her, Nancy, you know, I told her what happened to Josh, and, you know, I said, which child, you know, could you sacrifice for this? And, you know, she just glazed over and, oh, we're praying for you. And, but I just need to let you know that every person in our sanctuary city is a law-abiding citizen.
Let me ask about the media. I just played the media echoes the exact words of what the Democrats are saying. Manufactured crisis. I'm sure you guys all watch TV, right? Well, hopefully you don't watch fake news, but...
John, can I show you this?
Yeah.
For Nancy Pelosi, I have my only child's ashes in this urn. I carry his ashes in a little locket. This is the last time I got to touch my child. That's in the morgue. Those are his bruised, cold, dead hands with me touching him and kissing him the last time. And she doesn't just have blood on her hands, she needs boots, because that blood is rising. She's knee-deep in it. And if she doesn't get with the president to end this, she's going to need boots all the way up to her thigh, because it's getting worse. They need to get it.
Are you angry with the media?
Yeah.
That they use the words? Tough week for you. Well, just watching all this and hearing the same words every day.
Yes.
I thought liberals were so compassionate.
Yeah, whatever. It's not Trump's fault.
No.
Is this manufactured?
No. No, it's not.
This is preventable. Yes. This is preventable in our country.
When the sanctuary state city issue, where you can't, criminal aliens, not just people that came here that want a better life, in jail, they let them go and basically assist them out the door so they don't get deported?
I think I'm the only Anyone in this crew that got justice through the criminal court system for Joshua. I don't think anybody else has done that, and thank you, Texas, for that. But I mean, it does have some sort of that, you know, he's there for a long time. But other than that, I don't think anybody else really got justice.
I've got to say, all right, we're going to end this here. I want to personally come over and thank you so much.
35 days.
I know, it's unbelievable. Thank you. I'm sorry so much. Really, the pain, I know. So good to see you again. You're so strong. I hope you get that meeting. Your daughter's so beautiful, really. And your son,
Sean,
same.
thank you. And this is not Trump's wall. This is America's wall.
Right. We can have a door, too.
Yeah,
We just want to vet you.
Legally, like we all
Thank you.
did.
Steve, thank you. Your son, Grant, amazing. So good to see you. Thank you so much. I know this is the hardest time for both of you. This just happened the 29th of December. You're in our prayers, okay, always. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope America hears, and more specifically, I hope these idiots in D.C. listen. And the president, I think he's going to hold the line, and he'll do it one way or another.